You want a life that wins. But winning doesn't come from luck, talent, or miracles. Winning comes from owning your time, controlling your energy, and sharpening your focus until your mind becomes a weapon that cuts through every distraction and weakness. Most people waste their time like they will live forever. They move slow, think weak, and complain loudly. But you are different. You feel something strong growing inside you, the desire to rise, the hunger to improve, the instinct to take control of your life instead of letting life control you. Listen carefully. Time is the real currency of powerful men. Energy is what separates the disciplined from the defeated. And focus is the weapon that turns ordinary men into leaders. When you master these three, you become untouchable. You move with purpose while others drift like leaves in the wind. This is Machiavelli's system for success. Simple, direct, and without mercy. If you're ready to rebuild yourself into someone who wins every day, then pay attention. Your transformation starts now. 1. The law of control. Every powerful life begins with one truth. Either you control your time, or your time controls you. There is no middle. Men who rise and win understand that every minute is either an investment or a loss. And losses pile up fast. This is why you must protect your time. Choose carefully where your hours go, who gets access to you, and what gets your attention. Time is not friendly. It destroys the unfocused and rewards the disciplined. When you guard your schedule like a king guards his throne, you instantly separate yourself from people who live on autopilot. You become the architect of your day, the strategist of your hours, the commander of your routine. When you take control of your time, everything else, your thoughts, emotions, and energy, falls into place. Control is not given, it is taken. And the moment you take it, your life begins to change in your favor. 2. The discipline of energy. Management. Energy is the silent power behind every successful man. Weak men waste their energy on people who drain them, habits that hurt them, and emotions that exhaust them. Strong men focus their energy like a burning lens, and everything in front of them starts to move. To master your energy, remove the people who only take and never give. Cut the useless fights, arguments, scrolling, worrying, and emotional drama that steal your strength. Your energy is limited. A smart, strategic mind understands that every action must push you forward, or it must be removed. Protect your sleep because it sharpens you. Protect your emotions because they fuel your strength. Protect your environment because it shapes your discipline. And above all, protect your mission because your mission shapes your future. When you become clear about what you want and why you want it, distractions lose their power. You move with a silent confidence that others can feel but cannot explain. Men who control their energy don't just win. They dominate. They show up strong while everyone else is tired and confused. 3. The focus of a winner. Focus is the strongest weapon a man can build, and the rarest skill in today's noisy world. Most people are mentally scattered, overstimulated, and always distracted. They jump from one thought to another, one desire to another. A distracted mind is a weak mind. But a man who wants to win understands one thing. Focus is not natural. It is forced. You must shape it through your habits, your environment, and your discipline. To build strong focus, silence the world around you. Remove the constant notifications, scrolling, and comparing that steals the sharpness of your mind. Every notification is a thief. Every distraction is an enemy. A Machiavellian mind protects its attention like territory. Next, you must narrow your goals, not by dreaming smaller, but by aiming with more depth. A man who tries to do everything becomes nothing. A man who commits to one mission becomes unstoppable. Choose one target, remove all interference, then attack it with a level of focus most people cannot understand. This is how empires are built. Train your mind to enter deep concentration, the place where ideas become clear, decisions feel simple, and action becomes automatic. You don't wait for motivation. You create momentum by starting even when you don't feel ready. You don't depend on emotions. You depend on structure. You don't chase intensity. You build consistency. Slowly, your mind becomes a fortress, cold, disciplined, unshakable. People will not understand why you've become distant or uninterested in their small distractions. Good. You are not here to be understood. You are here to win. Focus requires sacrifice, comfort, entertainment, social approval, even the need to explain yourself. You remove these because they weaken your edge. The sharper your focus, the clearer your direction. The clearer your direction, the stronger your power. When your focus becomes ruthless, your transformation begins. You start achieving in months what used to take years. You see opportunities others miss. You move with precision while the world moves clumsily around you. This is how superior men rise. This is how you build a life that wins. 4. The Machiavellian system of daily execution. Execution is the battlefield where time, energy, and focus turn into results. This is where most men fail, not because they don't know what to do, but because they won't do it every day without excuses or emotions. A Machiavellian thinker knows that winning is not about one powerful day. It's about routine, repetition, and steady progress. You don't rise from one good day. You rise because your days build on each other until you become exceptional. Execution becomes easy when you design your environment, create strong routines, and train your mind to follow structure instead of impulses. Most men act only when they feel motivated or inspired. But strong men do the opposite. They act especially when they don't feel like it. They know action creates clarity, action creates momentum, and action creates identity. Every time you execute, you vote for the man you want to become. These votes build a life others call discipline or luck. But you know it was created through daily effort. Execution means scheduling your priorities, not reacting to whatever comes. It means building a morning routine that prepares you for victory, not distraction. It means planning your tasks the night before and attacking them at sunrise with a warrior's mindset. It means keeping your goals visible, your space clean, your choices simple, and your standards high. You build systems that support your ambition so success becomes automatic, not accidental. And when you fail, because everyone does, you don't break down, you don't quit, you don't complain, you adjust quickly, like a commander changing strategy in battle. Flexibility helps you improve, but consistency keeps you winning. You must also develop emotional detachment. When a plan fails, you refine it. When a task feels heavy, you finish it. When resistance appears, you push harder. This is how you trust yourself, not with promises, but with proof. Over time, your execution becomes your identity. People notice that while they talk, you act. While they wait, you move. While they dream, you build. Execution is not flashy. It is cold, quiet, and relentless. But it is what turns ordinary men into exceptional ones. 5. Removing weakness and distraction. Every man who rises must go through a painful process, removing weakness and eliminating distraction. This is where most men fail because it requires a level of honesty that cuts the ego open, revealing every excuse, habit, and pleasure that has been silently killing their potential. Weakness is not always obvious. Sometimes it hides as comfort, entertainment, or routine. It hides in the apps you scroll, the people you allow, the patterns you repeat, the thoughts you accept, and the emotions you follow. A Machiavellian strategist knows that real growth starts with subtraction, removing what holds you back before adding anything new. Before you can build a stronger version of yourself, you must remove the weaker one. This means finding every place where your time slips away, where your energy drains, and where your focus breaks. Be careful of anything that feels too easy, anything that steals your attention, anything that gives fast pleasure but leaves long-term regret. Distraction is the enemy's best weapon because it doesn't destroy you at once. It destroys you slowly until your mind becomes dull, your discipline becomes weak, and your ambition fades. To rise above this, you must turn your life into a fortress. Clean your environment so nothing in it pulls you backward. Remove people who weaken your discipline. Set strong boundaries so clear that anyone who crosses them feels the distance immediately. Cut off unnecessary commitments that suffocate your progress. You must also learn internal minimalism, reducing the mental noise that makes you unfocused, anxious, or reactive. This means silencing the inner voice that says you're not ready, ignoring emotional impulses that make you fragile, refusing the overthinking loops that keep you stuck. As you remove weakness, something powerful happens. Your mind becomes sharper, your ambition grows, your days feel lighter but more productive. This is what happens when nothing slows you down. But remember, removing weakness is not something you do once. It is a constant discipline. Every week you must review your habits, your surroundings, what you consume, the people you interact with, and the desires you chase. Ask yourself with complete honesty, does this make me stronger or weaker? If it weakens you even a little, it must go. This is how high-level men create separation so great that regular people cannot understand their transformation. They don't rise because they added something special. They rise because they removed everything that wasn't. Over time, this sharpness reshapes your identity. You stop chasing approval. You stop fearing being alone. You stop craving comfort. Instead, you start craving clarity, purpose, and progress. You choose silence over noise, work over distraction, distance over drama, discipline over pleasure, and strength over weakness. Nothing feels better than removing everything that controlled you. Nothing feels more powerful than building a life based on intention, not impulse. Nothing feels more freeing than becoming the master of your own mind. 6. The cold rise into unshakable mental power. There comes a point in every man's journey where discipline, focus, and control evolve into something stronger. A cold, unmovable mental power. A state where you rise above chaos, above noise, and above the emotional storms that control ordinary minds. This level is not given. It is earned through self-honesty, challenge, and the courage to face yourself without excuses. To reach this level, you must destroy every mental weakness that once controlled your actions. Your mind is the command center of your destiny. Every win and every failure begins in your thoughts long before it appears in real life. What you think, what you allow, and what you believe you deserve, these shape your behavior, discipline, ambition, and your entire life. Weak men let their thoughts control them. Strong men control their thoughts with precision. This is where cold mental power begins, by shaping your inner story on purpose. You must learn to detach from emotional reactions that weaken your judgment. If someone insults you, you don't react, you observe. If you feel tempted, you don't give in, you redirect. If someone provokes you, you don't explode, you calculate. Emotional neutrality does not mean you feel nothing. It means you have mastery over your feelings. A Machiavellian mind understands that when you react emotionally, you give your power to the world. So you train yourself to respond with intention, not impulse. Next, you must weaponize silence. Silence is not empty. Silence is pressure. It makes others reveal themselves while you reveal nothing. It gives you space to think, plan, and choose the smartest move. It creates an aura of control even when you say nothing. Weak men fear silence. Powerful men use silence. Another step in rising higher is creating a strict mental filter. Most people let garbage enter their mind: drama, gossip, noise, pointless entertainment, useless opinions. All of this weakens their inner strength. A man rising into cold mental power becomes selective with everything he consumes. He protects his attention because attention shapes identity. You must limit the voices you allow to influence you, the media you absorb, and the conversations you join. Everything you allow into your mind either sharpens you or softens you. Your job is sharpening. Then comes psychological distance, the ability to step away from your emotions and see your life like a strategy map. When you master this, you stop drowning in your problems and start analyzing them. You stop taking things personally and start seeing patterns. You stop acting like a victim and start thinking like a tactician. This makes you hard to manipulate, hard to provoke, and hard to defeat, because you no longer act from emotion but from clarity. Cold mental power also requires mastering solitude. Most men fear being alone because solitude exposes their weaknesses and insecurities. But high-level men embrace solitude because it gives them space to think, plan, and evolve. Solitude is where your real identity appears, without noise, without influence, without distraction. With solitude comes self-dialogue, and with self-dialogue comes control. You begin shaping your beliefs, challenging your fears, building your confidence, and sharpening your direction. As your inner world gets stronger, the outer world loses the ability to shake you. You must also learn to sit with discomfort. This is a superpower. Today's world avoids discomfort at all costs. But nothing great is built in comfort. A man who can't sit with boredom will never master repetition. A man who can't sit with discipline will never achieve greatness. A man who can't sit with uncertainty will never take bold action. Cold mental power begins when you see discomfort as a sharpening tool, not something to escape. Lastly, you must adopt the mindset of inevitability, the belief that your success is not optional or hopeful, but guaranteed through your discipline and strategy. When you move like success is inevitable, you develop a quiet confidence, a steady rhythm, and an inner power others can feel. You stop hoping things will work and start expecting them to bend in your favor, because you are the type of man who makes things bend. From this comes presence, the silent force that makes people respect you before you speak. This presence is built from consistency, discipline, silence, self-control, and the removal of weakness. It is the natural result of a man who has mastered himself. A man who controls his time, energy, focus, emotions, and identity becomes untouchable. Not because life becomes easy, but because nothing can shake his inner strength. He becomes a fortress, a weapon, a man shaped by intention, not by circumstances. The art of strategic self-reinvention. Reinventing yourself is not a poetic idea. It is a necessary strategy for any man who wants to win in life. The world rewards people who adapt and evolve, and it destroys those who hold on to an outdated version of themselves. Reinvention is not a one-time event. It is a continuous process of letting go of your old identity and building a new one that matches your highest potential. Most men stay stuck because they confuse consistency with stagnation. They keep the same habits, mindset, emotions, and worldview long after those things stop helping them. But a Machiavellian thinker understands that identity is a tool, a weapon, that must be sharpened and updated. You cannot grow into a stronger version of yourself while thinking like a weaker man. Reinvention begins with destroying the lies, excuses, and stories that keep you small. You must challenge the voice that says, "This is just who I am." That voice is lying. You are not fixed. You are fluid. You define yourself. Reinvention means stepping into the new version of you before the world recognizes it. You must walk, think, speak, and act like the man you want to become, even before you feel ready. Identity comes before achievement. Once you become that man internally, the outside world will eventually match it. To reinvent yourself, you must detach from your old identity. Comfort is the enemy of growth because it makes you believe survival is enough when you could dominate. People will fear or resist your evolution because it exposes their own lack of growth. Let them be uncomfortable. Next, you must create pressure in your life. Pressure forces growth. It kills laziness and unlocks your potential. This means setting high standards, big goals, and placing yourself in environments that push you. Reinvention also requires periods of isolation, not forever, but long enough to think clearly and rebuild yourself without outside influence. In isolation, you face your flaws honestly and see your potential without fear. This is where your new identity is created. Once you know who you want to become, remove everything that contradicts that identity. Habits that weaken you must go. Patterns that distract you must be replaced. Reinvention is about replacement, weakness with discipline, distraction with focus, excuses with action, fear with strategy. Reinvention also needs emotional coldness, not cruelty, but clarity. You cannot protect the feelings of the old you. That old version is gone the moment you choose growth. Keeping him alive only destroys your future. A man becomes powerful when he stops negotiating with his past. Transformation is not smooth. You will doubt yourself. You will feel tired. Your old identity will try to pull you back. But every time you resist that pull, your new identity becomes stronger. Each small victory adds up. Reinvention also requires upgrading your social environment. You cannot rise while surrounded by people who expect you to stay the same. You need conversations, relationships, and environments that match your next level. If your circle doesn't push you forward, it traps you behind. Finally, reinvention requires new skills. The man you want to be has abilities your current self doesn't, so learn aggressively, train consistently, and level up your skill set. A man must grow beyond his old skills. Reinvention without new abilities is just fantasy. But reinvention backed by skill becomes real power. And once you develop those skills, you must step into the world with the confidence of someone reborn. Reinvention is complete only when your public actions match your new identity, not just in private. You walk differently. You speak with certainty. You move with purpose. You make decisions as your higher self, not your weaker self. You stop seeking validation because your discipline has already proven your worth to yourself. Then something powerful happens. The world starts treating you differently. Opportunities appear, people respect you more, your energy becomes magnetic, your presence becomes impossible to ignore. Reinvention is not magic, it is strategy. It is the process of building a superior version of yourself on purpose, and once you fully reinvent yourself, the world can no longer overlook you. 8. The architecture of a winning life. A winning life never happens by chance. It is built carefully, like a mastermind constructing an empire. Success is not created by one habit or one decision, but by a full system where every part of your life supports the others until your entire existence becomes unshakable. Weak men hope life will get better. Hope is for the powerless. Power belongs to the man who builds his life deliberately, layer by layer, with strategic thinking. To create a winning life, start with alignment. Your actions, habits, time, energy, environment, identity, and goals should all point in the same direction. Weak men stay divided inside. They want greatness but act like men who expect nothing to change. They want elevation but live like they're preparing to stay the same. A Machiavellian strategist removes this contradiction. Every habit supports the mission. Every choice strengthens the identity. Every system pushes him forward. A winning life starts with long-term vision, the ability to see 10 years into the future while acting with urgency today. Most people plan for tomorrow. Powerful men plan for decades. You must ask, who do I want to be at my peak? What empire will I build? What mastery will I achieve? What legacy will I leave? This becomes your life blueprint. But vision alone is useless without structure. So the next step is building systems. Systems turn goals into predictable results. Systems make discipline easier, execution automatic, and progress natural. Your morning routine becomes a trigger for productivity. Your environment becomes a machine for consistency. Your calendar becomes a map for strategic action. Your boundaries protect your focus. Your habits keep moving even when motivation disappears. A man who depends on willpower is weak. A man who depends on systems is unstoppable. Next, add feedback loops to your life, tools that show your weaknesses and blind spots. This includes weekly reviews, tracking progress, evaluating goals, and being honest about your performance. Most men avoid this because their ego gets threatened. A strategist embraces it because it makes him sharper. Through feedback, you refine, adjust, optimize, and evolve into a stronger version of yourself. But structure is not enough. You must also manage your energy. Your emotions must serve you, not drain you. If you let anger, fear, insecurity, sadness, or boredom control you, your energy will leak away. Emotional mastery separates the man who breaks under pressure from the one who becomes stronger because of it. Environment also shapes behavior more than willpower. If your surroundings support laziness, you will become lazy. If your circle accepts mediocrity, you will shrink. If your home is chaotic, your mind will be chaotic. You must design your environment to support your highest potential. Clean spaces, productive tools, motivating cues, structured routines, and relationships aligned with your mission. Another critical pillar is resource allocation. Powerful men use their time, money, attention, and energy like a general using soldiers in battle, all strategically. Every resource should move you closer to your mission. You invest in learning, not entertainment, in health, not indulgence, in skills, not distractions, in opportunities, not fantasies. When your resources flow toward growth, your life grows at top speed. Adaptability is essential. A winning life is never rigid. It is flexible, responsive, and able to shift direction without losing speed. Adaptability is intelligence in motion, something men addicted to comfort never develop. You adjust your strategy, evolve with new challenges, and turn problems into advantages. You stay flexible, but never weak. You stay fluid, but never lose structure. With adaptability comes resilience, the mental armor that protects your mission when life becomes difficult. Hard days, failures, and setbacks are normal, but a strategist does not see them as reasons to quit. He sees them as data, lessons, and opportunities to get better. You must build resilience so strong that nothing outside you can break what is inside you. Another part of this architecture is solitude and reflection. Reflection shows you where you waste time, where you lose energy, where you sabotage yourself, where you excel, and where you hesitate. Reflection turns experience into wisdom, and wisdom into strategy. Without reflection, you repeat mistakes. With reflection, you refine your path. At the center of the architecture is identity, the man you believe you are when no one is watching. Identity creates discipline. Identity creates consistency. Identity shapes behavior. A weak identity collapses easily. A strong identity becomes unbreakable. You must build an identity forged from discipline, clarity, ambition, calm aggression, emotional control, and strategic thinking. A man with a powerful identity becomes immune to distraction, manipulation, laziness, emotional swings, and outside pressure. He becomes a force. He becomes a presence. He becomes the architect and protector of his own destiny. This is the ultimate goal: to construct a life so aligned, so disciplined, and so intentionally designed that winning becomes automatic. Not luck, not accident, just the natural result of the system you built. 9. The power of unwavering momentum. Momentum is the invisible force that separates men who win once from men who win for life. If you want a life that constantly improves, You must learn how to create momentum, protect it, and use it as your weapon. Most men fail, not because they lack talent, but because they can't stay consistent. They start strong, then collapse. They rise for a moment, then fall back. They work hard for a week, then quit because emotions overpower discipline. Momentum destroys this weakness. When you master momentum, you no longer depend on motivation or inspiration. You operate from inner drive. Momentum turns discipline into habit, habit into identity, and identity into destiny. It starts with one rule: never break the chain. Whatever your goal is, your training, your craft, your work, you must execute it every day with ruthless consistency, even when it seems small, even when you're tired, even when life pulls at you. Small daily actions create unstoppable force. A man who moves every day becomes dangerous because he no longer waits for perfect conditions. He moves through chaos, through doubt, through low energy. This creates mental power. You stop arguing with yourself. Your mind begins to trust you. The second rule is acceleration. Once you start moving, slowly increase pressure, difficulty, and standards. A man who grows at the same level forever eventually becomes stagnant. Stagnation is just slow decline. You must constantly raise expectations so your momentum never dies. The third pillar is emotional detachment. Momentum ends the moment emotion takes control. If fear, boredom, insecurity, or frustration guide your actions, you break your rhythm. Momentum requires a cold mind. You act whether you feel like it or not. You execute whether things are smooth or chaotic. You train your brain that movement is not optional. The fourth element is friction control. Friction is anything that slows you down. Clutter, noise, low-value people, messy spaces, unclear goals, too many decisions, or digital distractions. To protect momentum, you must remove friction aggressively. Keep your tools ready, your environment clean, your plans visible, and your routines simple. Momentum grows in clarity and dies in confusion. The fifth rule is self-reinforcement. Confidence grows from proof. Every day you follow through, you build evidence that you are reliable. This becomes fuel. You stop depending on praise or validation because you trust yourself. Your own track record becomes your motivation. Another key part is recovery. Momentum is not a sprint. It is a controlled marathon. You must rest intentionally, not lazily. Recovery means recharging your mind and body so you return stronger. Used correctly, rest becomes fuel. Used as escape, it becomes poison. Finally, momentum requires separating yourself from mediocrity. You cannot stay in motion while surrounded by people who stand still. You cannot stay disciplined when you're surrounded by people who aren't. You can't stay sharp around people with dull minds. Your environment must rise to match your ambition. The more distance you create from stagnant people, the stronger your momentum becomes. When all these elements come together, daily consistency, steady growth, emotional control, removal of friction, self-belief, smart recovery, and a higher-level environment, you become unstoppable. You move like a force of nature. Nothing slows you down. Nothing shakes you. Your life shifts from struggle to flow. Your actions match your goals. Your goals start bending toward you. Momentum becomes your greatest weapon, turning your intentions into results and your potential into real power. The final ascension, into a life that wins. A winning life is not luck. It's not talent. It's not blessings. It is built by a man who refuses to live like everyone else, a man who chooses discipline over weakness, clarity over confusion, structure over chaos, and purpose over pleasure. This final ascension isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming undeniable. It's about reaching a level where your habits, mindset, strategy, and direction all work together. They create a powerful internal engine that moves you forward no matter what stands in your way. At this stage, you no longer chase motivation. You create movement. You no longer seek validation. You validate yourself through action. You no longer fear pressure. You grow under it. A winning life becomes inevitable because you have built yourself into a man who wins, not once, not sometimes, but consistently. Now comes the final step, integration. Everything you've learned, discipline, control, focus, strategy, reinvention, execution, momentum, must merge into one identity. You stop practicing these principles and start embodying them. They show in your routine, your decisions, your presence, your posture, your voice. People will notice something different about you, more calm, more sharp, more powerful. That is the aura of a man whose inner world matches his mission. But ascension requires vigilance. Power fades when ignored. Greatness weakens when taken for granted. You must protect your identity the way a king protects his crown. This means constantly improving your strategy, pushing your limits, removing new weaknesses, and raising your standards as you grow. A man who ascends must avoid arrogance. Arrogance kills awareness. You stay humble, not because you lack power, but because humility keeps you sharp. You stay adaptable because rigid men break. You stay disciplined because discipline built everything you have. You stay calm because emotional chaos destroys even the strongest foundations. A winning life also demands contribution, not soft motivation, but the kind where your success becomes a blueprint for others. You inspire people by how you live, not by what you say. As you rise, your world expands. Opportunities come to you. People who ignored you now respect you. Challenges that scared you become manageable. The life you once dreamed of starts to feel normal. This is the true reward of ascension. Not the cars, money, or fame, but the inner strength that makes all of it possible. You develop a quiet certainty. Whatever comes, you can handle it. Whatever you aim for, you can achieve it. Whatever mountain appears, you can climb it. You win because winning has become your nature. And now, standing at the edge of this transformation, only one thing remains: action. Apply everything, live everything, become everything. Because a winning life does not belong to the man who knows what to do. It belongs to the man who does it relentlessly. And now it's your turn to become that man. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Comment your empowering phrase below.